Hello and welcome to this training video on content aware fill. I'm going to take this image and we're going to separate it, cut it, and we're going to add another image into this. Basically going to use this area here as a frame. The first thing we have to do is get rid of this tree that's in front of this old barn, and that's the slow, tedious part, is working on it. And I'm going to enlarge part of this, and I'm just going to turn on the quick selection tool and start painting, so to speak, with this tool. And we have to do a decent job, and I'm holding down the Alt key here to subtract from the selection. We have to do a decent job in order for this filter to do a decent job. It's easy where there's a lot of contrast. As you notice there, around that black area, it did a really good job. Here the similarities are kind of messing with us. Similarities in color. And yes, we want to even get these little areas too, but can't do everything at once. Hold down the Alt, take away from that a little. Not going bad so far. There, it went too far. Alt key. Alt key. And I'm going to make my brush a little bit smaller with the left bracket key. And you say, wow, this is really tedious, and I did the Alt key again. Minus with the Alt key. Minus with the Alt key. I can't even begin to tell you. I've done work similar to this before there was Alt key again. Before there was a quick selection tool. I've done this other ways, and it can be very, very, very painful. This is nothing in comparison with some of the ways I've had to get rid of things in a scene. And the thing is, it hasn't been that long ago that we didn't have a content aware fill that would do us any good anyway. Stuff like this had to be rubber stamped out of an image, and that was an Alt click again, and then we gotta make this smaller with the left bracket key, and that's selected, so we need to use the Alt key again to deselect some of this stuff. Right in here, we don't want that selected, but we want that selected and that. And we Alt click, get rid of some of this. Alt click up there. That's looking good. And we need to Alt click in here. Alt click is what I needed to be doing then, and I was doing the wrong thing. Okay, select this and this, and Alt click in here. Select this, Alt click that. Now we've got to select this slowly, and we have to, oops, sorry about that, Alt click there, Alt click there. That's looking pretty good. I don't know what's going on here. Let's go back over that and Alt click in here. Let's go ahead and get this down here. And we probably got, no, that's the edge. Alright, so let's go on down here. and we don't want that. We want a little more of that, not that. And we want this. I'll click these areas. And I'm going to have to blow this up bigger and use a smaller brush. We want this to be selected as well. And it's not going to be perfect. So if you're going for perfect, you're going to be wasting a lot of time. We want it pretty good though. We're going to actually make an allowance for any areas that we didn't get selected good. We go back here and get this. And we'll alt click this. I think you're getting the idea how to do this. I don't want to spend all of my time doing this. Alt click to get rid of that, because nobody's going to want to watch this video if I keep doing this forever. We'll just go ahead and let that go crazy and use the Alt key to get it back to where we want it. I'm using the Alt key a little bit there. So let's zoom out and see what I've got so far. We've got this little stub here we need to get. And we need to go on down the tree. Looks like I got a lot of it already. We don't want some of that, so we do the Alt key. Got to get this up here still yet, and as soon as I get finished getting all these fine little limbs in here, I'll be right back. Okay, so I think I've got everything I need here, and I'm going to move on over. Looks good. Now, what I did, I went into Select, and I went down to Modify, and I expanded by just 3 pixels. Try 2. And it will go out away from the regular selection just a little bit. And right here is a little bit too much again. So I hold down my Alt key, and that went too far. It learns as you do this, and that's a wonderful thing. So I'm going to get this again and Alt key just when I thought I had it all. And I'm just going to go with that. I'm going to go to Select, Modify, Expand by 3, and you saw it come out away just a little bit. I don't need that right there. I'll key that away. Now, here's what we do. I'm going to make this smaller so you can see it all at the same time. I'm going to go up to Edit, down to Fill, and I'm going to, it defaults to Content Aware Fill, and just click OK, and we sit back and wait a few seconds, and bang, that whole tree is gone. I mean, that's pretty flawless what that did. I'm going to do a Control D, as in dog, to turn that off. That's a pretty amazing job. There are a couple of things, like right here, this was caused a little smearing going on. So I can just take my, let's take the patch key, the patch tool, sorry, not key, and just do that. It didn't get rid of this, and I'm wondering now if I even had that selected. And let's bring that down. So we're in pretty good shape now. So now that we're there, we're going to select this left-hand side. So I'm going to use a marquee tool, rectangular marquee, and just click a general selection area. Obviously that slanted area there, it won't select that just quite right. So we go to select and down to transform selection. This allows us to fine-tune a selection. So I'm going to hold down the control key and click up here on the top right, and I can just lean that over to make a better selection. Let's tighten that up just a little bit because we just want the edges of that. And then I just hit the enter key or return, and now I'm going to do a control J. We've got the background layer, we have this selected, control J. So now as you see, we've got that on its own layer. So now let's go back to the background layer, and now I want to select this part. And again, I need to go up to select and transform selection and hold down my control key, command key on a Mac, get up here at this edge and then hit enter or return, and now do a control J again. So now I can turn this layer off, the background layer, and you see what the two halves that we've got. We've got the space in the middle now that's completely free, and that's where we're going to put our next object. So we don't have much room there to put anything in there. So what we're going to do is increase our canvas size. Our canvas right now is pretty small. So let's go down, actually let's go up to image and down to canvas size. And on the canvas size, if we want to create more room on the right hand side of this image, we would move this dot over to here just by clicking. So if we add canvas, like right here, it's going to add the canvas just to the right side. If I click the middle and add inches to it, it creates canvas on either side. So I'm going to add 10 inches to this. There's no great formula here. I'm just saying 10 inches, so I have plenty of room. So click OK. And if I make this smaller, control minus, you see I've got a lot of space there now, right? So let's click on the move tool. I'm going to click on this top layer and hold down the shift key so I can move that evenly. And then I'm just going to control click on this other one, and it automatically snaps to that layer. And look at all the room I've got to put something inside now. So what I did for a friend of mine was took this and got a picture of her little boy and put the little boy in between. Let me go get that picture of the little boy. So here's the little boy. I'm just going to do a crop, get rid of some of the stuff that's in this image, and the white preferably. And I'm going to leave that the way it is, and I'm just going to hit enter, and I'm going to click on the move tool. I'm going to do a control A to select everything, control all, control A, then a control C to copy it to the digital clipboard, and I'm going to go back to this image and do a control V, V as in victory. So obviously that image is way bigger than the image I'm working on. So let's make my current image altogether smaller, and then I'm going to do a control D and then just resize him. We'll say that's good for now. I'll make this bigger so we can see what's going on. And he needs to be, everything needs to be behind the shed, so let me move him down. And we don't even need this background layer anymore, so I'm just going to hit delete, get rid of that. Now let me see if I go minus, I'm going to move this out here a little bit so we can see his hat. And we can go ahead and crop this now because we don't need some of that stuff, right? So let's make that a little bit smaller, bring in these edges, and we can cut some of that orange off as well. Move that up and down, and if I need to fine tune it a little bit, I use the control key. Now notice this is a lot longer So we've cut off part of the trash can, or the wash tub, sorry. And I'm going to go down here, click on that layer. I'm going to go to Edit, Content Aware Scale. And it already cut that off. So let me back up, hit Escape, back up a little bit here so we can see the whole thing. Let's make that smaller. And now Control T. We want that whole thing to fit in there. Hold down the Control key. I want that all to be in the image. Okay, now click on that layer and bring that over. And we want it to overlap a little bit. Move this. Needs to be behind there. And this needs to be, I want it over the boot just a little bit so it looks like he is behind this wall. Alright, now let's go back and do this crop again. So it's kind of a panoramic size. And now we can begin painting, but I really want to sharpen, or not sharpen, but straighten this up a little bit. We've got this, let's turn that off, and we've got this right here is slanted way in, as you can see. So I'm going to do a Control T, hold down the Control key and just kind of drag this bottom until that straightens out. Hit Enter. Let's turn this back on and do the same thing. Let's Control T it, hold down the Control key and bring that up just a smidge. And so now that looks straight. I'm going to use my left arrow to move that over a little bit. It looks like a little black edge on that, so I'm going to use my marquee tool and just drag that in a little bit and hit Delete or backspace, and that trims that piece off as long as we're on the right layer. Alright, that got rid of that. Now, to make it look even more like it fits in there, we want to put another layer on. So just click on the new layer icon, and I want it behind the walls and just on the layer that the cowboy is on. And so I'm going to paint with black and change my opacity to way down there, and I can just start filling in back there with black, build some shadows. See, I can paint on that board. It's not doing anything because I'm underneath where that board is. Let's paint down here at the bottom, darken that up. And I think you see where this is going. We just want to make it look like he is really inside of that barn. And now remember, all of this is taking place on this layer right here. The layer number 4 is where all this shading is coming from. So if we want to undo any of it, we can just take the eraser, nice big round, make sure the hardness is all the way to 0, and we can just go like this and paint and bring some of that back. So let me blow that up a little bit so you can see it. And again, we can paint more of that in, and we can lower that opacity. So we have more control of this as we dampen that down a bit. See how he looks like he's in behind that? So I printed her off roughly a 6x10 of the image like this, and she was very, very happy. We're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to turn off this smoke area, and we're going to throw away our cowboy and I'm going to bring in some horses. So I've got these horses, and what I would need to do, I'm going to put them in the barn. And this is a part that you're going to have an image for, so you can actually do this part yourselves. So I need the quick selection tool, and I don't know even what that, oh, it's covering up something back there. I'm going to do a Control E to sandwich that, and I'm going to turn on the quick selection tool, make this a bit bigger, and this is a lot easier to select than the tree was, right? So I'm going to go down here to the legs, not quite that far. Smaller brush. I want all of the legs that I can get. The hair. Alt click. And we'll get a bunch of this, that, alt click that, and need that. So here's what we're going to do. A little bit right there around the horse's mouth. Right here around the horse's mouth. Alt click to get rid of some of that. And we're going to do a Control C to copy it. And we're going to go over here to the barn and do a Control V and then a Control T to make that transform. Now the horses are in the barn, and to make that look a little more realistic, I'm going to turn that off so we don't keep making selections. I can actually do this again, but what I want to do is put this behind the horses, and I'm basically going to fill this whole layer, put it back, come on, right there. I'm going to fill this whole layer with a bronze or a orangey color, and just fill it up by holding down Alt and clicking Delete and turn that on. Now then, I'm going to create a new layer that's on top of that, and I'm going to fill this with black. I don't have black over here, so I hit the letter D, and now I can fill that by holding down the Alt key and hitting backspace. And now I want to simply punch a hole through this so the orange bleeds through. So I'm going to click on the layer mask, the square donut, and I'm going to click on the paintbrush, black over white down here on the tools. I want a great big brush, and I want the opacity way down, and it's 14. So I'm just going to paint a little bit like that. And let's put a little contrast over the top of these guys so they don't look so light back in there. So I've got the horses layer highlighted. Let's go up to brightness contrast, and we'll tone that brightness down, and let's bring the contrast up. There we go. So if I can't do that, I'm going to try to show you with a black background how this looks. But they're not looking bad. We could certainly take more time and do more with it if we wanted to. We can also go back to where we did this adjustment layer and double click right on that and take it back down further if we want to. Hopefully you found this tutorial helpful, and you'll experiment with content aware yourself. Remember, we started way back with that, and now we have that. So have some fun with this assignment, and let me know if there's anything else that I can show you. Talk to you all later. Bye-bye.